Now, Sunday might have been the day that Arsenal handed the title, I'm not sure handed the title to Manchester City after the Gunners missed out on the chance to go top of the table. Arteta's side, of course, losing 2-0 at home to Aston Villa. Arsenal 2 points adrift of City. However, Aston Villa's former boss Martin O'Neill thinks it's too soon to call Arsenal bottlers at this stage.
If Manchester City, now 2 points clear with 6 games left, they would have loved that situation about 5 weeks ago. If they lose it, they wouldn't be considered bottlers in the league because their history has proved that they aren't. So I just think it's a wee bit early to call. It's Arsenal's first loss against first loss in 2024, which is amazing really when you think about it. They had a tough old game during the week against Bayern Munich. At the game myself, they had a chance to make it 2-0 just before Bayern scored. Different ball game then after that.
Now, Ali, I know what you feel about the phrase bottlers.
I hate it. It is the worst phrase in sport. And 99 times out of 100, it's used by people who don't have any idea about playing at the level that these guys and girls are competing at. Arsenal haven't bottled anything. Arsenal, unless I'm mistaken, and I've not got my notes in front of me when I did the Munich game, since they come back from the break, I think they've won 11, kept a clean sheet and got a draw at City, got themselves level in a quarter-final Champions League tie, and lost at home 2-0 to a side that have already beaten Manchester City and already beaten Arsenal before. Yeah. An excellent side, an Unai Emery side that are having the season, you know, that they could only dream of, effectively, the best season they've had in years. So this term, are we also, well, if that's the term that's been used, I'm guessing we've got to say the same about Liverpool then. Right, I've not heard so much nonsense in all my life. Liverpool could have and should have scored about 3, 4, 5 goals, right? They didn't. Some really poor finishing, right? The poor finish is not down to bottling it. No. The poor finish is down to a level of inconsistency in front of goal and some fantastic defending. Arsenal played quite well.
Very well first half, very well.
But I think sometimes you forget about the standard and quality of opposition. I thought centre-back for Villa, Carlos, was that's the best game I've seen.
He was brilliant.
He was absolutely brilliant. And you've got a centre-forward, right? And that, they obviously won that as well without Douglas Luiz, who's, you know, Ollie Watkins aside, has probably been the player of the season. And then they've got somebody, again, like Watkins, who's absolutely on fire. So the term is a nonsense. That term is a nonsense. You've got 3 teams of extreme quality going for one of the best titles we've seen in a long, long time. So what we're saying is, if the one that wins it's great. The other 2 are bottlers. I've never heard so much nonsense in all my life.
I'm right with you, mate. Right with you. Of course, rightly, Unai Emery earned a lot of praise for the way he managed the game, which Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent discussed on Drive. Nick, the Villa fan, said he's doing wonders and can't see him leaving his Villa project unless it's for a top job on the continent.
I think he'd go Barcelona or Real Madrid because of the Spanish thing. But at the minute, he's got the 3rd richest owners in world football. He's got total control of all the academy players, all the coaching, all the teams.
No, I get that, but it will always be Aston Villa.
He's not leaving at the minute. I think he's got a project there. And look what he's done with the players. Every player, look at Leon Bailey under Gerrard. Looks half the player he looks now. He's a good coach. He's got the backing of the club. You can see we've got a vision, and I can't see him leaving.
Do you think if
it's Barcelona or Madrid?
What about Liverpool?
No, I don't think he'll go to Liverpool.
Why?
He's on a hide into nothing, you know. He's come to us. He's took us to where we're going. He's got a project. If he's going to follow Klopp in, like when he followed Wenger in, what's he going to do? He can only go one way. Unless he wins everything for Liverpool, he's on a hide into nothing.
Joining us now, broadcaster and huge Aston Villa fan, Dan Bardell. Morning, Dan.
Good morning, Dan.
Morning, chap. You okay?
Yeah, very good,
great,
thanks.
mate.
Look, you know, he's doing a brilliant job at Villa. I mean, there is no question, is there, that there will be suitors for Unai Emery. He will be in demand.
Yeah, in a weird kind of way. I was actually quite glad that these conversations were happening because I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves for the job that he's done. At Villa, I think when you're talking about the next Liverpool manager, and I see Roberto De Zerbi in there, who's done a decent job at Brighton, but I don't hear a manager like Unai Emery mentioned. I think people are still a bit hung up on his time at Arsenal. I think you're better being the guy that follows the guy that followed the manager, if that makes sense. And I think if Emery had done that, he'd have done a very, very good job at Arsenal. But Arsenal were in decline when he took over, and it was a difficult time for him. I think now at Villa, the job he's done in 18 months is absolutely stupendous. Villa were sitting in 17th, I think, when he walked through the door. To qualify Villa for Europe in his first kind of 2/3 of a season, and then to push Villa now into, hopefully Champions League qualifications. The turnaround and the improvement in all those players just shows the level of coach that Villa have on their hands here. And, I can't speak highly enough of him as a manager and as a person.
Daniel, spot on. Taking it a little bit further, does it surprise or disappoint you that a lot of, if not most of the attention after the game is on, some of the people using this term, Arsenal bottlers, which I think's nothing short of ridiculous, due to the fact that Villa have already beaten Manchester City at home. For me, was it a surprise? Yes, because I thought, just due to the occasion, I thought Arsenal would, find the 3 points that they desperately needed to get to the top of the league. However, it wasn't a shock.
I've got to be honest, it surprised me. I didn't fancy us going into the weekend, because there's no doubt that there's been a slowdown in Villa in 2024. Unai Emery's 2023 Aston Villa, we're churning out results every single week and churning out performances every week. And there's no doubt that there's been a slowdown in 2024. But what they were doing in 2023 wasn't sustainable. What we saw on Sunday was more like Unai Emery's Villa that we did see in 2023. And look, I can understand the dialogue around Arsenal, because they're going through the title, they're having a massive season, and whatever happens to them, I agree with you guys about the bottler thing. The progress at that club over the last few years has been absolutely magnificent, and Arteta deserves a hell of a lot of credit. But Villa went there with a game plan, and the game plan came off. They're not playing the Arsenal team of 5 years ago. They're playing probably the best Arsenal team maybe since the Invincibles kind of era. And as you said, Arsenal hadn't lost a league game in 2024, and Villa went there and had 49% possession, which, away from home against Arsenal, that's as good as winning possession. That they managed the game well, they defended well when they needed to. Arsenal were very, very good in that first half, albeit Villa carried a real big threat on the break. But in the second half, I felt Villa controlled the game, and Arsenal didn't really have an answer for them. And I don't think anyone will end up doing the double over Arsenal this season. So for Villa to do it speaks volumes again. Which
is sort of deliciously ironic, considering what happened to Unai Emery at Arsenal. Do you think he's actually got the bigger picture in his mind here, Dan, that he knows the club's history, he knows your former champions of Europe, you've got a huge fan base. There is no reason that Aston Villa should not establish themselves as a top 4 club on a regular basis, is there?
Yeah, if you look again, I can only look at what he's done at Villa in 18 months. That progress is heavily accelerated. And you think if you give him another 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, what else can he do? Because he showed at Villarreal, a club of that size, he's got them to the Champions League semi-final. The guy has won European trophy after European trophy. And I think from the outside looking in, people don't realise, yes, Unai Emery has been brilliant for Aston Villa. But Aston Villa have been brilliant for Unai Emery too. They've given him everything that he wanted. The whole football club is built around his image, all the backroom staff, all the staff above him, all the staff to the side of him. Everything is geared around Unai Emery. He's got such a high volume of staff members around him. To take Unai Emery from Villa, you're looking at taking about 30 staff as well, and clubs won't want to do that because they've already got things in place. Unai Emery, I thought Andy Goldstein was very, very disrespectful the way he was talking about Villa yesterday, like we're absolutely nothing. We're fourth in the league. Manchester United will be lucky if they get the Europa League the way they're going at the moment. Yes, historically, Manchester United are the bigger club. But at the moment, you'd say Villa are in the better place. You don't know what's going to happen with Ineos. I do think they'll improve, but you don't know that they're going to go and kick on and get back in the title races and whatnot.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.